So what are the things that they were actually testing in the event that we had? Let's talk a little bit about all the things that we can draw from conclusions there that they were actually testing in the SEAD event, right? And basically we have, technically we have 5 things, okay? So the first one, obviously, guys, it is the SEAD, right? Suppression of enemy air defenses. They were obviously testing this type of mission. How would that be in a game? How would that be, implemented in a match? How balanced it would be, and of course where this thing could actually be added. They assume that it cannot be added in an air match, normal air battles, but for World War mode and stuff like that, it would make sense that we would have something similar to this, obviously, right? Together with other types of, missions and stuff. But yeah, the SEAD mission was, of course, the main test that they did here. But they also tested for other things. The one that it's the least, interesting one would be the smoke rockets. It is something that would be basically used to signalize where a target would be, or even to to create a smoke screen in front of the enemy or something like that, right? So this was added to the F4 as the Mark 34 rocket, smoke rocket, right? And I don't think that it's going to be added, but it should be added because it's a very interesting concept. If it's added in normal air-ground battles, it would be something that could be added and used as some form of support from the air, So yeah, smoke rockets were tested. It's a very small thing, but they did test that. Which was something that wasn't added to aircraft up to now, right? The other thing that they tested is, of course, no markers. Yes, they actually tested a match which is similarly, to an RB match with no markers. I honestly think that they are not going to add no markers for RB, although they should, in my opinion. I already did a video about that, but at the end of the day, I still believe that World War mode will be the main thing that will receive no markers matches in an air RB kind of situation. So in the devlog, they did say that they are working on different types of matches for World War mode, specifically for aircraft, right? And with that, it means that we will probably have no markers, just like we have no markers with ground battles for jets, but in a jet match or air match, right, in general. So I think it is very cool. Hopefully, eventually they add some form of mechanic like this for RRB. In my opinion, it should be added. I think it's more realistic, it's more fun, it's more dependent on skill. You have to have a lot of situational awareness, and it was a great test to see how fun a no marker match could actually be like. Okay, of course, with minor things changed if they would add this to the RRB, like I said in that video, but in a general sense, it is a very good test. And yeah, they pretty much tested how RB match style that match would be like with aircraft with no markers, right? The other one is an asymmetrical combat. So asymmetrical combat is normally something like an attack or defend kind of situation, or any type of combat that demands different types of tactics, and basically have, even sometimes in the case of this test, for example, different numbers in players from one team to the other. And why is that? Because of course you are trying to do different objectives. That's why it's asymmetrical, right? One team is, in this example, for example, is trying to attack a certain objective, and the other team is trying to defend it. So it's not like capture a flag, for example, that both the teams are trying to do the same objective, or even in a normal RB match, which is basically a TDM, right, a team deathmatch, which means that you have to kill each other, and destroy the enemy's team. But at a general sense, both have the same objective, right? An asymmetrical combat, one team had to attack the S-75 sites, the other one had to defend. So of course there is advantages and disadvantages that they need to think about when using this asymmetrical kind of layout. In like when I played Battlefield back in the day, Battlefield 2, Battlefield 3, even 4, asymmetrical combat was one of the most fun multiplayer games that you can have in those games, right? Which was basically Rush, for example, the Rush mode, right? Because you had a more realistic feeling of how a combat would actually take place, right? And here we have the same feeling. It's a lot more realistic, it is a lot more fun, and of course it's harder to balance it out. Some people have disadvantages here and there. Normally it was the Americans, but then they actually, you know, decrease the amount of MiGs that would spawn in, which meant that, you know, in the last day, yesterday basically, and today morning, it was pretty balanced, you know, because of the number of players. So of course it's an asymmetrical combat, so it needs an asymmetrical kind of thinking on how everybody will play. But yeah, this was probably one of the main things that they tested, SEAD together with an asymmetric kind of environment, of course, right? Also, by the way, they can have a symmetrical combat arena with SEAD. That would mean that both teams have to destroy, you know, AA sites, for example, in both sides. But obviously, I think, like I said, they were pushing to an asymmetrical combat arena to see how it would perform. Okay, and then last but not least, something that I think would be really cool, problematic maybe, but if they take a little bit of time to think about this and really try to balance it out, it can be a very good thing, especially for helicopters, which was a heli plus aircraft, fixed-wing aircraft match, right? So we had helicopters and jets in the same match, which means that it is the first type of that type of gameplay, you know, because normally you had tanks and then helicopters and aircraft, but normally doesn't apply here, right? So yeah, you could take the H-1F and the F-4s, the MiGs and stuff, and play in the same match, and the helis could actually do a lot of damage. Of course, it was kind of limited because the objective was to destroy AAs, so they were testing this type of combat, but it was good to see that they are pushing towards having some form of helicopter match together with aircraft. It can be very hard for helicopters if they get the BRs and the missions correctly. It can be an amazing thing, or it can be, you know, very bad. But it would be another way to introduce grinding to helis in a very cool match, you know, something that is just problematic to have right now. In, you know, the grind for normal PvE matches in helicopters are maybe kind of boring sometimes, you know, so that would be something, right? Maybe they could have an RRB match where you have a helicopter and a jet, for example, and then if you spawn in one and die, you can spawn in the other to help it out the grind and stuff and have a different type of mission. But basically these are the 5 things that they tested. So smoke rockets, the normal markers in the match, SEAD, asymmetrical combat, and a heli plus aircraft, fixed-wing aircraft in the same match. Okay, I'm kind of sick right now, so sorry about my voice, but basically this is it. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and I see you guys on the next one. So bye guys, see ya.